Azeroth is not a world of chance. It was forged as a crucible. The sigil of the six burned in the first one's geometric forge, a lattice of forces no cosmos could contain. Shadow the unresolved, older burned in the war, as end first one's Zoth's eye geometric yond forge open over lattice of southern oceans, forces no cosmos could contain, hungry for imbalance. Azeroth's world soul was never meant to choose, it was designed to hold. 6 affinities, 1 prison. The first one's built a crossroads, not a home. Every tide, every tremor, every clash of light and shadow rehearses an older war. Design. The design's weight is etched into Azeroth's bones. Are the old gods fragments of the void's hunger, or seeds planted before light pierced the void? The Black Empire carved their thrones into that question, long before Titans shaped life. Theirs was no accident. Azeroth's world soul pulses at the crossroads of war, weapon, wound, both. The Empire's shadow lingers in every fracture. What if the soul's song is a dirge for the first one's ambition? The cosmos holds its breath. Answers are not found, they are unearthed, blighting. 144 words. The 6 cosmic forces form a hexagram of interdependent axes. Each force bends without breaking the others. They are not opposites but angles of a single prism. The pantheon of Order Titans, sea aspects and their brood constructs exist are to not deities but stabilize these primordial forces. They leak maintenance, strata below them, earths above both bones. Why Shaarj sea aspects Thun and their brood constructs exist are to not deities but stabilize these primordial forces aggregations. Strata, the old unshaped by God's design, earths above both bones rises the first one's handiwork. Azeroth's world soul is their experimenta node where all 6 forces converge. It sings in harmonic dissonance, attracting titanic and terrible alike. The Black Empire predates even the Titans' forging. Its remnants writhe beneath ancient stone, proof that Azeroth's struggle began before order had a name. This world was never meant to belong, it was meant to balance. A fulcrum for the first one's grand equation. Every war, every cataclysm is a variable in their absent mind. The cosmos does not care if the world burns. It only requires the equation remain unsolved. How long can Azeroth hold this weight? The equation was never meant to be solved. Magni Bronzebeard, his voice cracked with the weight of ancient forges, described how long can Azeroth's hold this world weight soul not as a relic but as a mechanism. The first ones did not stumble upon Balanceth, he forged it. 6 sigils, 6 forces, etched into the core of the planet like gears in a celestial clock. But the Watcher tablets in Ulduar tell another story. Beneath the cold, humming metal of the ancestral hall, those carvings repeat a pattern. Void, 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 void. Not a mistake, a signature. The first ones knew the void was not an absence but a presence, one of 6. Azeroth's soul was designed to hold them all, the implications carved deeper than stone. If the world is a crossroads, then every war, every cataclysm is a recalibration. The pantheon's ascent, the old gods whispers thee are not opposing forces but currents in the same storm. The world soul does not choose, it channels. The Watcher tablets, their glyphs pulsing with a light that predates civilization, show the first ones testing the limits of this design. Did they fear the weight, the fractures in Ulduar's floor veins of liquid shadow and radiant frost? Answer yes. Here is the truth no chronicle dares name. Azeroth's uniqueness is its vulnerability. To hold 6 forces is to invite 6 conflicts. The world soul's glow is not divinity, it is pressure, a dam holding back a flood. Magni saw this in the shifting ley lines beneath Stormwind's foundations, in the way the halls of stone tremble when the sun sets. The first ones engineered a battleground, not a home. Every civilization that rises here is a temporary patch on a wound that cannot heal. What does it mean to be a crossroads when the roads lead to annihilation? The void sigils in Ulduar whisper it. Azeroth was never meant to last, it was meant to endure. The first ones did not merely plant seeds, they buried time bombs. Void Lords selected Azeroth not for its strength, but for its fragility. A world thin enough to bleed. A soul pliable enough to rot. They did not seek dominion, they sought catalysts. Old gods were not weapons, they were accelerants. Burn the Pantheon's prisons and the fire spreads. The Pantheon, though, chose a quieter war. They did not kill, they did not erase. They built vaults of starlight and silence, sealed horrors beneath mountains, let the old gods breathe asterisk. Except one, Shaarj the Devourer was gutted and left to Rithia warning, or a test. The difference between containment and compassion is a razor's edge. Why risk preservation over annihilation? The Void Lords needed Azeroth to fail asterisk. The Pantheon needed it to balance asterisk. But balance is a lie told by those who fear the cost of true victory. To kill an old god is to unravel the weave of reality. To imprison it is to invite rebellion. Azeroth's world soul is a ledger of compromises. Every sigil carved, every tomb raised, a transaction. The Void Lords bet on collapse, the Pantheon bet on control. Both sides ignored the third possibility, that the world might choose its own end. The cold truth hums in Ulduar's veins. The old gods are not prisoners, they are guests asterisk. And guests, given time, learn how to unlock doors. What happens when the host grows tired of the feast? The Void Lords have patience, the Pantheon has resolve. But Azeroth is learning how to wait asterisk. The Pantheon's tale is a parable for the timid. Clean lines, moral certainty. Old gods as rot, Pantheon as surgeons amputating corruption with celestial scalpels. But here's the festering truth. They never erased the infection. They curated it. The first ones did not craft Azeroth as a sanctuary. They forged it as a quarantine. A zero-gravity pit where ancient wounds could fester without consuming the cosmos. The Pantheon's order is a gilded cage, and the key, still buried in the guts of a dead god. Consider Cthulhu's webs, not chaos, but design a labyrinth meant to bind, not dominate. N'Zoth's tendrils, a slow drip of poison, not a flood. The Pantheon's containment strategy was so precise, so clinical, they left Shaarj breathing in his own tomb. A living valve, a pressure release. The battleground narrative is a smokescreen. The Pantheon knew their creation was a petri dish. Every war, every plague, every shattered empire, a stress test. Azeroth's tremors, errant rebellion diagnostics. The maelstrom churns where the Pantheon's leash meets the void. The blight spreads like a script, not a mistake. What does it mean that the old gods whisper in tongues the Pantheon once spoke, that their corruption mirrors the shape of the stars? The first ones didn't fear annihilation. They feared contamination Azeroth's soul is not a prize. It is a sponge, a conduit. Every faction that bleeds here light, void, flesh, stone leaves a stain, a signature. The comfortable myth crumbles when you trace the blueprints. The Pantheon's victory was a surrender in reverse. They traded dominion for delay. And Azeroth is the patient in this experiment. Its suffering is not collateral, it is the hypothesis. The first ones did not make a world, they made a microscope and the cosmos, it is peering back. The deeper question remains, why forge a world to blade? The first ones left no creed, only a stage where titans clash and souls fracture. Their absence is the only truth. What do the cosmos seek to magnify in this endless, screaming experiment? The Six did not merely cage the old gods, they wove Azeroth itself as a prison. Ether winds hum with the weight of their hubris. The world soul was never a gift but a ledger, its pulse a tally of debts unpaid. Consider Shaarj's wound, a scar split open by Amanthal's own hands, the veil of eternal blossoms blooming where the Leviathan's spine was ripped from the earth. That wound does not heal. It breathes, its roots drink the blood of titans, its flowers exhale whispers that twist into azurite veins beneath the crust. The Six believed separation equaled safety. They did not foresee the seep. Azurite leaks like a festering vein through the shattered crust. It glows with stolen potential, a relic of the old gods' first breaths. The Six carved their prisons into this rot, ing sanctums atop the abyss. The halls of origination, the nexus monuments to order perched on chaos' throat, but the world soul is no passive slab. It is a loom, every containment fractures it further, every wound a thread pulled loose. The Six tore Shaarj from Azeroth, yet his absence carved a hollow the old gods could exploit. A cosmic paradox: to stop a threat, you become one. Xal'atath's ascension was not a betrayal but a collapse. The Six light, meant to smother the void, became its kindling. Their theology was a house of mirror-seach reflection, amplifying the flaw. They built Azeroth as a crossroads, a place where all things collide, yet cursed it to repeat the same ritual. bind, fracture, bleed. The world soul's true purpose is not to choose between forces, but to magnify their hunger. Every soul that walks it becomes both sacrifice and spark. What does the cosmos magnify? Azeroth's answer is written in its scars. The 6 prisons are not failures, they are the experiment. To contain is to invite resistance. To wound is to create a wound that wounds back. The world soul is no mere battleground. It is the theorem proving the Pantheon's design was always a paradox. A vault built to hold a storm, its doors sealed with the very rain they feared. The theorem holds Azeroth was not a mistake. The reading the Chronicle most honors says the world soul was a forge, its cracks intentional. The first ones did not fear chaos, they studied it. Order and disorder were not enemies but partners in a dance. Light and void were not opposites but threads of the same tapestry. The Watcher tablets seem to say the sundering was the first strike of the experiment. Queen Azshara did not betray her world, she activated its purpose. Sargeras came not as a thief but as a catalyst, his corruption a key turned in N'Zoth's lock. The Pantheon's vault was never meant to hold, its collapse was the trial's beginning. The 6 forces, they are not judges, they are variables. The old gods do not hunger for evil, they hunger for data. Every war, every rise and fall was a data point. The world's suffering was not a flaw, it was the metric. The sundering scar is the experiment's signature. What the Watcher tablets seem to whisper in the gaps between their carvings is this: the balance was never the goal, the imbalance was the hypothesis, in Azeroth. It was the only lab big enough to contain the question. The first ones did not forge Azeroth to test balance. They carved a crucible from twilight, a stage where chaos and order could collide without end. The world's veins hum with fractured hemispheres in the earth where ancient magmas still seethe, storms that coil like serpents over the temple of the moon. Xal'atath's ascension was no triumph. It was the first gasp of a slumbering thing roused from eons. Can you hear it now? The world soul's breath rattling through the shattered pinnacles of Zanger, through the hollow eyes of the Ashbringer's blade. The Pantheon did not rebel against the old gods. They were variables in the same equation, threads woven to tug at opposite ends of the same loom. The Night Elves' sacred groves bear scars of thisroots twisted into glyphs, as if the planet itself wept warnings. The war within is not a war, it is a heartbeat. Azeroth's pulse finally, violently alive. You think the chronicler refuses to look at the stars? No, they refuse to look at the soil beneath their feet. Every step treads on a question older than the Titans. Every breath draws air thick with the first one's silence. What did they learn from this experiment? Did they witness a soul's birth or a death? The answer festers in the ground where the world soul stirs, its awakening a wound that will not close. The chronicler's hands tremble. Not from fear, from the weight of knowing. The cosmos is not a story of heroes and villains. It is a ledger of hypotheses, and Azeroth. Azeroth was the page where the first ones wrote their final, most terrible proof. The first ones did not create Azeroth as a world, they forged it as a crucible. Its world soul was not a heart, but a fulcrum, a pivot point where order and disorder could grind against each other, where light's radiance and void's hunger could bleed into the same sky. The land itself bears the scars, mountains split by ancient tectonic wars, forests that pulse with dual breaths, their roots tangled in the marrow of old betrayals. The twisting nether does not leak into Azeroth, it is Azeroth's breath, exhaled in the act of balancing forces too vast to contain. The world soul is no passive witness, it amplifies. It feeds every Tauren chant, every druid's incantation, every shaman's drumbeat stirs the primordial argument written into the land. The old gods do not rule. They persist, their whispers seeping through stone like a subterranean tide. The Pantheon do not conquer, they resist, their temples crumbling as quickly as they are rebuilt. Even the Naris light fractures here, dimmed by the weight of paradox. This is no accident. The eternal conflict was not a flaw in Azeroth's design, it was the design. The Cenarian circle plants seeds that wither before they bloom. The Aldor burn shadow from the air, only to watch it condense elsewhere. The scryers map constellations that shift mid-draw. Their struggles are not failures, they are footnotes in a theorem too grand for any one species to solve. The world soul thrives on their labor, their sacrifices, their endless, futile attempts to mean something in the equation. What does this say about being alive? That to exist is to participate in a dialogue older than memory, where every answer is a question, every victory a delay of the inevitable. The first ones wrote their proof in the star sand. Azeroth is the page that will outlive them all. What will you write on it before the ink dries? Magni's voice, steady as the mountain's heart, resumes. This world is forming with affinity for all six forces, a cosmic crossroads. The camera pulls back, revealing Azeroth's surface, a tapestry of clashing energies. Storms coil where shadow meets life, rivers of golden light fracture against the blackened veins of the void. The air hums, a dissonant choir of creation and decay. The first one's design is no accident, each force a thread in the world soul's loom, woven to not conquer. Here death's frost blisters next to the old god's primordial rot. Here, the Pantheon's hollow fire burns beside the titanic breath of earth. Azeroth does not choose, it holds, the drifts south. The ocean roils ink-thick, swallowing light, a pressure ancient and patient, Thena flicker. Zoth's eye, a spiral of liquid obsidian and starlight, cracks open. The water screams, whales vanish into the depths. The eye does not gazite, absorbs, a vortex of knowing. The world soul shudders, its six affinities warring louder as if the planet itself gasps. This is no evil, no good. Only the weight of design, a stage where titans duel and the audience is bound in the script. The voice softens. The first ones wrote their proof in the stars. Azeroth is the page that will outlive them all. The camera lingers on the eye, now fully open, its gaze fixed on the horizon. Waves crash, a rhythm older than time. The narrator's final words hang, then dissolve into the sound of the sea, a whisper, a warning, a hymn. The screen fades to deep blue. The question gnaws: if Azeroth is a crucible, what trial do the first ones still await? Whispers in the stone, echoes in the sky. The world soul pulses, a leviathan's heartbeat trapped in crystal. The well of eternity was no accident. It was a conduit, a fulcrum where primordial forces collide. Light fractures into shadow. Void seeps through every mountain's marrow. The Pantheon did not rise as saviors. The old gods did not fall as tyrants. They are pawns in a game older than time, their wars etched into the bedrock of a stage designed for chaos. What if the sundering was not a failure, but a signal? A 0 point where the first ones watch, waiting for the crossroads to choose, convergence or collapse. The Void Lords stir, their hymns are not